Hello, welcome back to another Tumbler tutorial. If it's your first time here, my name is Mal and I make Tumbler tutorials here on YouTube. In this video, we are going to make a super fun retro 4th of July tumbler. I'm really excited to get started and I hope you enjoy the video. Let's go. What was that? Let's go. We're going to use a 20-ounce skinny straight tumbler. This is a powder coated white cup, so it already has like a white coating on it. We're gonna do a very light sanding on this just to rough up the surface a little bit so that everything adheres to our cup better, but we want to maintain the white base of the cup for our glittering and design. So I'm going to sand this really quick and then we will apply the vinyl to the bottom half of our cup. After sanding, you guys, I don't know if you can see the roughed up marks, but after sanding, I'm going to clean my cup with some rubbing alcohol on this dirty towel. Don't look at this towel, it's disgusting. All right, so our cup is clean and ready for the first step. I use this super cute sheet of pattern vinyl. This is from Peachy Olive Glitters. The name of the pattern is Freedom Smileys, and this is right up my alley, you guys, for real. We're going to apply this to the bottom, just a little less than half. I want the majority of the top half of our cup to be glitter. So we're gonna do glitter and then just a little strip of this vinyl. Now I know that the Craft Haven 20-ounce skinny tumblers are about 8 inches tall. So I want to divide that into like 5 inches of glitter, I think. Let's see, 5 inches and then 3 inches at the bottom. Yeah, so I'm gonna mark off right at the 5-inch mark here on my cup. Just made a little mark right there, so that we have more glitter than we do vinyl. I just want the vinyl to be like the tiniest little part. Now to help me ensure that I get my vinyl placed straight on this side, I'm gonna use this tool from the Amy's Make Everything. It's got these little holes here so you can line your cup up and just take a pen or whatever and rotate your cup and draw your straight line. I'm gonna stick my pen into this hole here and I'm just gonna rotate my cup. And it's going to hopefully draw a perfectly straight line around there, like that. And we'll use that line as a guide to place our tape down to help us place the vinyl down. So I'm gonna take my tape and I'm just gonna line the edge of my tape up here with that straight line. And now we've got our bottom part perfectly taped off here. Now to place our vinyl, we want to cut a section that's just gonna fit right in here. So I'm gonna take my sheet of pattern vinyl and I'm just gonna hold it up a little bit above that line. I just wanna give myself a little bit of excess. And I'm gonna make a mark right on the inside here, right at the bottom of my cup, just like that. And we can trim this so it fits within that section. Okay, so here's our stripe that's cut down to fit within that little area. I am gonna trim this just a little bit too because it's got a little bit of a white border. Most of it is backing, but I just wanna make sure that that is cut correctly. So just the tiniest sliver, not a lot. I just wanna make sure that that's as even as possible. So there we go, perfect. To apply this to our cup now, we are going to take the straight edge that we just cut, and I'm just gonna butt it right up against the tape line so that everything is straight because we know that tape line is straight. Then I'm gonna lay this down, make sure that everything lines up correctly, and then I'm gonna take another little piece of tape here, make sure everything's still lined up, and I'm gonna secure this end of my vinyl to the tumbler. So just like that. Now we've got a lot of overlap, as you can see. So I'm just gonna trim most of that off. Trim right at the end of this smiley. Okay, so now I'm gonna wrap around one more time, Just make sure that we're correct. And then we'll take this vinyl and take away a little bit of the backing. And we'll lay that down onto the cup. So we've got a little bit of an anchor of our vinyl here on the cup. I'm gonna wrap it around one more time to check that we're all still good. And then from here, we'll just use my vinyl scraping tool. I'm using this one from Craft Haven. And I'm just gonna push the vinyl onto this part of the tumbler. We're going to remove this tape here, save it because we're going to reuse it. And I'm going to pull that away, set it aside, and then I'm going to pull this vinyl as tightly as I can under this bottom rim, and we'll use my cup edging tool to cut it all off so that we have a really nice clean finish at the bottom of the cup. Okay, so we've got a nice clean bottom. Perfect. Now that we've got the vinyl applied to the tumbler, we can take that piece of tape that we used to tape off the top section, and we're just going to replace it right on top of the vinyl now so that we can glitter and epoxy the top portion. What we're using for the top of our tumbler is Parabatai from Peachy Olive Glitters. It's a really pretty chunky white. It's got some pearl pieces, some little like opal-y pieces in there too, so it's a sparkly white. And we're going to use the epoxy method to apply our glitter. So I've mixed up this epoxy already and I've got about 10 milliliters of it in my cup. I'm not nearly going to use that much. I'm going to use maybe one, if that. The epoxy I'm using is the Flynn Sisters epoxy, the regular setting artist cure, not the fast cure. Although you probably could use the fast cure if you work quickly enough to adhere your glitter, it's totally okay. So I'm just gonna put a really thin, even coat of this epoxy on the top half of my tumbler, making sure that we don't have any lines in our application or anything. Typically when I apply epoxy method glitter or epoxy method to my tumblers, I let my cup sit for just like a minute or two after applying the epoxy so that everything can kind of set and get rid of any lines or anything from the application. So we've got our epoxy on. I'm just gonna let that sit for a sec. And I've got tons of epoxy left, so I maybe use like 1 or 2 milliliters max. All right, so we're gonna go in and just do full coverage with this glitter. We're only using one glitter right now. Can you believe it? So we're just going full coverage on this. All right, so we've got our glitter applied. Now right away, I'm gonna remove all of the tape because I don't want the epoxy and the glitter to cure on my tape and risk pulling up any of the glitter that's on my tumbler, just in case. Better safe than sorry. All right, so that's ready to go. I'm just gonna let this sit overnight and then we'll get into the next step.
Okay, so my cup has been drying overnight. So now I'm going to seal this top portion of my glitter before I add my first coats of epoxy. I'm going to wrap my cup in some scrapbook paper just to get off any excess glitter, kind of help that glitter lay flat, push it down a little bit. And then I'm going to go in with a chip brush and just brush off as much excess glitter as I can. And then I'm going to take my favorite sealing mixture. This is half water and half Crystalac glitter glue. I just mix them right together in the squeeze bottle, and this is what I use to seal all of my glitter if I'm not using like a clear spray. So I'm just going to squeeze that on, as you can see, brush it on that top glitter portion, and then I'm going to set my cup aside and let it dry for the full 2 hours, and then I'll be ready to add my first coats of epoxy. I'm using the Flynn Sisters fast setting epoxy here, so I'm going to wait about 4 to 6 hours in between between coats. If you're using a different epoxy or like a regular setting epoxy, you might have to wait a little longer. So even though we sealed the glitter, I did apply the epoxy to the bottom vinyl section first and then up at the top. You don't have to do that if you seal your glitter well, but that's just the way I did it. So after this first coat, this coat was about 25 milliliters. I went in with another coat of about 25 milliliters, and then I went in and did a full intense round of sanding. Like, I sanded the heck out of my cup to make sure it was totally smooth. After sanding, I washed it with dish soap and water, and now we're ready to go in and add all of our vinyl details. First, I'm going to add a vinyl stripe to the middle of the cup where the vinyl and the glitter meet. This is the champagne gold textured metallic vinyl, and I cut this stripe out at 0.15 inches wide. And now we're going to find the seam on the back of our pattern vinyl and turn our cup around so that we can place the decal on the opposite side of the seam. And of course, for our decal, we have to do a red, white, and blue decal. So for the top layer, I'm actually going to do a little bit of a cheat glitter vinyl method here. So I've got this red glitter vinyl from Craft Haven. It's got a slight sparkle to it, but I also have this really pretty stardust transparent vinyl from Craft Haven as well. And I'm going to layer that on top of the red vinyl to just give it like an extra sparkle. You can put this onto any color vinyl to automatically make it glitter vinyl. It's been my favorite thing to do lately, and it is so sparkly under epoxy. Just wait till you see. So for the bottom layer of our offset, we're going to use blue ultra glitter vinyl, also from Craft Haven. Everything I'm using, again, will be linked down below in the description box for you. And then for the middle layer, we're going to use just regular white Oracal 651. When I cut the glitter vinyl out, both the regular and the double layered one, I cut on my silhouette at a pressure of 21. So if you're using a Cricut, you might want to cut twice or cut on a really thick vinyl setting, because it will be really thick and you'll want to make sure you cut all the way through so it's easier to weed. Once I had everything cut and weeded, I was ready to apply the decal to my tumbler. I'm going to start with the blue glitter bottom layer and then go in and apply the white middle layer. You can see there that I applied the stars from our top layer by hand. They were just really small and I wanted to put them on individually and not risk losing them. And look at me go here. I'm applying the entire layer, the entire decal on it once. I was really proud of myself because I got it lined up pretty perfectly. And then for the top layer, I'm going to go in and apply everything piece by piece, word by word, just because I wanted to make sure that it was lined up perfectly. Once the decal was placed, I moved down to the bottom of the tumbler and I'm going to place a piece of blue painter's tape down at the bottom. Now, when I did my super intense sanding, as you can see there, I sanded a little bit too much. I went a little bit crazy. So we are going to glitter the bottom of our tumbler to cover all of that up. When I placed my tape, I placed it just a little tiny bit above the end of the vinyl line. I just wanted to make sure that the lines were really, really nice and clean and crisp. So I took some epoxy. I did not base paint the bottom. I'm using a really metallic glitter. This is Goddess from Peachy Olive Glitters, and it's going to be really full coverage. We don't need a base coat or anything. We just went right in with the epoxy. So I applied that to the bottom of the cup. I used this gold because I kind of wanted to tie in the champagne gold vinyl. I let that dry for a few hours, and then I sealed that glitter with clear glass spray from Rust-Oleum, and then I added my 2 final coats of epoxy. So that's it. Here's the final tumbler design. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I really love how this tumbler turned out, and I hope that you do too. Be sure to let me know what you think down below in the comments, and remember to check out the description box for links to join my Facebook group, follow me on Instagram, and all of that fun stuff. Thank you guys so much for watching as always, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay, love you. Bye.